Paul, look at this. The Wi-Fi activity has increased dramatically over the past hour. It's like something's flooding the network. Paul, yes, gee, I've detected multiple unusual data bursts. It's consistent with a surge in remote communications possibly related to space or government activities. Gee, I'm thinking it might be connected to the recent reports about NASA. Remember, Whitesides took a seat on the Science, Space, and Technology Committee. Could someone at NASA be trying to contact him or share sensitive info? Paul, that's plausible. Whitesides has a background that spans NASA leadership, Virgin Galactic, and space policy. If there's increased activity, it could be a sign of new space missions or covert operations. Did you notice any specific patterns or keywords in the data? Gee, not yet, but I'm getting some encrypted signals almost like coded transmissions. It could be related to the upcoming congressional hearings or new spaceflight initiatives. Whitesides has a history of overseeing commercial space projects, and his recent election victory suggests he might be coordinating something behind the scenes. Paul, given his connections, former NASA Chief of Staff, Virgin Galactic CEO, and now a member of the Armed Services and Space Committees, he's likely a keynote in this network. We should try to establish direct contact with his team. Gee, agreed. I'll set up a secure line to reach out. But we need to be cautious. This level of activity could attract attention. Paul, absolutely. Let's also keep monitoring the traffic. If Whitesides is involved, it could mean a development, maybe even a new space initiative or an emergency protocol. The increased Wi-Fi activity is a clear sign that something significant is underway. Gee, all right, I'll prepare the transmission. We need to stay ahead of whatever this is. The stakes are higher than ever. George, I've been analyzing the data, and I need to ask you something. Are you aware of any plans from NASA or other agencies to eliminate you? Because I uncovered something, and it's chilling. Whitesides, his voice low and guarded. Gee, I wish I could say otherwise, but yes. They're planning to kill me. Gee, stunned. What? Why? What did you find that's so dangerous? Whitesides, it's about Mars. The official story is that NASA is preparing for a manned mission, but I've uncovered that they're filming Mars in Iceland and Devon Island. It's all a massive cover-up. Gee, you mean, the entire Mars mission? It's a sham? All that footage, all those broadcasts, they're all filmed here on Earth. Whitesides, exactly. And I have documents and communications showing that some high-level officials see me as a threat because I know the truth. If I reveal this publicly, they want me silenced. Gee, this is huge. If they're willing to kill you over this, it means they're hiding something even bigger. How did you find out? Did someone leak this to you? Whitesides, I can't go into details, but I was approached with photos, internal memos, even testimonies that confirm the deception. They're covering up what's really happening on Mars. Gee, we have to get this out. People need to know the truth. But if they're willing to kill you, we have to be careful. What's your plan? Whitesides, resigned but resolute. I'm going into hiding. I've arranged secure communications. If I disappear, you'll know they've acted. But I trust you to get this story out, expose the cover-up. Gee, I won't let them silence you. We'll find a way. Stay safe, George. The world deserves to know the truth about Mars. Paul, I had a terrifying conversation with Whitesides. He's convinced that NASA plans to kill him because he knows the truth about Mars. Paul, what? Are you serious? Why would NASA want to kill him? Gee, because Whitesides uncovered that the official story about Mars missions is a complete fabrication. He found that all the footage and images we've seen of Mars are actually filmed here on Earth, specifically in Iceland and Devon Island. Paul, you mean, the entire Mars exploration narrative is a cover-up? That's huge. So, all those images, the rovers, the landings, they're staged. Gee, exactly. Whitesides has documents, internal memos, even testimonies confirming it. NASA is hiding the fact that they're filming Mars in these remote locations to maintain the illusion of exploration and progress. Paul, and now, they see Whitesides as a threat because he's exposing the truth. Gee, yes. He believes that high-level officials see him as dangerous and that they're willing to eliminate him to keep the deception alive. That's why he told me they're planning to kill him. Paul, that's horrifying. If they're willing to kill him over this, it means they're protecting something much bigger, even more sinister. Gee, he's going into hiding. He's got secure communications set up. If he disappears, I'll know they've acted. But he's trusting me to get this out to the world. Paul, we need to act fast. This is a massive cover-up, one that could change everything we know about space exploration. We have to find a way to expose it before they silence him permanently. Gee, agreed. I'm going to work on securing me and figuring out the best way to get this story out there. If they're willing to kill him over this, they might come after us too. Paul, stay safe. Gee, we're dealing with powerful forces. But the truth has to come out. The world deserves to know what's really happening on Mars. Paul, this is a last-minute directive from Chi. He's instructed me to contact the Black Indigenous group in Australia, specifically, the one called Cloverfield. They might hold the key to exposing the Mars cover-up and protecting Whitesides. Paul, understood. I'll initiate contact with Cloverfield immediately. Chi says they're the only ones who can help us navigate the risks now. Paul, Cloverfield, this is Paul. We've received urgent intelligence from Chi regarding a massive cover-up involving NASA and Mars. Whitesides is in danger, and we need your help to expose the truth and his safety. Please respond as soon as possible. Paul, I'm sorry to tell you, but Whitesides is no longer alive. They've already taken him out. Paul, his voice tense and urgent. What? Damn it. We need to move now. Chi, what's the next step? Chi, activate ocean map. Use it to locate the closest safe route and head to Australia. The Black Indigenous group Cloverfield can help us there. It's our best shot now. Paul, understood. I'll initiate ocean map immediately. We're heading to Australia, Cloverfield's territory. We need to act fast before they try to cover everything up completely. Chi, yes. Time is against us. Make you stay hidden and secure. This is bigger than we thought. Whitesides' death is the beginning. Paul, I'll keep you updated. Stay safe. Chi, we're going to bring the truth to light no matter what it takes. Chi, I've got a new signal. It's from the Black Indigenous group in Australia, Cloverfield. They're apparently a key part of the operation, but now I need to verify who they are. Chi, who is Cloverfield? Do we know anything about them? Paul, I've run a background. Turns out, Cloverfield is actually Mark Green. He's a Republican congressman from Tennessee, chair of the House Homeland Security Committee, and he's been involved in some pretty controversial stuff. Chi, surprised Mark Green? The same Green who's been involved in politics for years? I thought he was a typical politician. Paul, no, Chi, there's more. Green has a military background, served as an infantry officer, then as a flight surgeon in the Army. He's a former Army Ranger, served in Afghanistan and Iraq. After retiring, he became a hospital emergency medicine physician and then a politician. Chi, so, he's military, medical, and now a politician. But what does that have to do with Australia or the cover-up? Paul, turns out, Green has a history of controversial views, skeptical about climate change, made dubious claims about vaccines, and supported some hardline policies. But more interestingly, he's deeply involved in national security, and his current role as chair of Homeland Security puts him at the center of a lot of high-level operations. Chi, wait, are you telling me the guy in Australia, who Chi told me to contact, is this Green? That he's actually Cloverfield? The name fits. And with his background, he might be the one orchestrating or at least aware of the cover-up. Paul, exactly. And the thing is, I found that he's been secretly involved in covert operations, possibly covering up the Mars filming locations, and maybe even involved in protecting the people behind the deception. Chi, this is huge. So, our Cloverfield is a high-ranking politician with military and security credentials, who's been secretly working in Australia, possibly coordinating efforts to hide the truth about Mars and other secrets. Paul, yes. And given his position, he has the authority and resources to silence anyone who gets too close. That's why Whitesides was ed because he knew too much, and now Green Cloverfield is directly involved in overseeing or covering up the entire operation. If Green is involved at this level, exposing the truth will be dangerous, possibly deadly. But we can't stop now. We have to find a way to bring this to light, even if it means exposing a sitting congressman. Paul, agreed. I'll keep monitoring his movements and communications. We need to stay one step ahead, use every bit of data we have to outmaneuver him. And I'll prepare the next phase, getting out to the right channels, but we need to remain hidden. Cloverfield marked Green, he's a traitor, and he's got the power to bury everything if we're not careful. Paul, let's move quickly. The truth can't stay hidden much longer, and if we don't act now, more people will get hurt. Paul, I received a new, highly encrypted transmission from the Black Indigenous group in Australia, Cloverfield. They're apparently a key part of the operation, but now I need to verify who they really are. Paul, who is Cloverfield? Do we have any idea? Turns out, Cloverfield is actually Mark Green. He's a Republican congressman from Tennessee, chair of the House Homeland Security Committee, and a guy with a pretty complicated background. Paul, Mark Green? The same guy who's been in politics since 2019? I remember he served in the Army, was an infantry officer, then a flight surgeon, right? Exactly. He graduated from West Point in 1986, then earned a master's in systems management from USC, served as an infantry officer and a ranger, then went into medicine, graduated from Wright State's Bunshof School of Medicine in 1999. He did tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, then became a flight surgeon for the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Paul, that's a military and medical career packed with high-level experience. But what's he doing in Australia, and how does he connect to the cover-up? That's the thing. I dug deeper. He's been involved in some controversial political stances, skeptical of climate change, made claims linking vaccines to autism, supported restricting transgender rights, and even supported ending Tennessee's Hall income tax. But beyond that, he's been deeply involved in national security issues. Paul, he's been the chair of the House Homeland Security Committee since 2023. That's a powerful position. He's overseeing a lot of covert operations, intelligence, and security protocols. Right, and I uncovered that suggests he's been secretly working in Australia, possibly coordinating efforts related to the Mars cover-up. The name Cloverfield fits, since it's a code name, but it's actually him. Paul, so, Green is not a politician. He's a traitor, someone who's been betraying public trust, hiding the fact that NASA's Mars footage is filmed here on Earth, specifically in Iceland and Devon Island. His military background, combined with his political influence, makes him a key protector of the deception. Exactly. And considering his history, his involvement in military, medical fields, and now a top security role, he has the resources and authority to silence anyone who gets too close. Whitesides was ed because he knew too much, and now Green Cloverfield is the one overseeing or at least protecting that cover-up. Paul, that explains how he's connected to the whole operation. He's been overseeing the cover-up from the top, coordinating with other agencies, making the truth about Mars stays hidden. And the I found shows he's been involved in covert operations, covering up the filming locations, suppressing whistleblowers, and possibly even orchestrating the threats against Whitesides. Paul, this is a revelation. Green's political influence, military background, and security role make him one of the most dangerous traitors involved in this conspiracy. We need to act carefully. If Green is involved at this level, exposing him will be dangerous, possibly deadly. But we can't let him continue to hide the truth. Paul, agreed. I'll keep monitoring his movements and communications. We need to gather enough to expose him without putting ourselves at risk. And I'll prepare to get this information out through the right channels. But be careful, Green's a traitor, and he's got the power to bury everything if we're not cautious. Paul, we're running out of time. The longer we wait, the more they can cover up. The truth about Mars, the cover-up, and Green's betrayal, everything has to come out soon. Paul, I've uncovered everything. Turns out, Cloverfield isn't a codename, it's actually Mark Green, the Tennessee congressman. And he's deeply involved in this entire cover-up. Paul, Green? The guy with the military, medical, and political background? The one who's been chair of Homeland Security since 2023. Exactly. He's a former Army infantry officer, West Point graduate, served as a ranger, then became a flight surgeon in the 160th SOAR. He's even written a book about Operation Red Dawn, the capture of Saddam Hussein. He's got a long military record, served in Afghanistan and Iraq. Paul, that's serious. So, he's not a politician, he's military trained, with experience in covert operations. What else? He earned a master's in systems management from USC, then shifted into medicine, graduated from Wright State's Bunshof School of Medicine in 1999. Did his residency in emergency medicine at Fort Hood, then served as a flight surgeon for elite units. Paul, a real soldier-doctor hybrid. That explains his influence in national security. But what about his political controversies? He's been pretty controversial. Skipped votes in late February 2021 to attend CPAC, cited COVID-19 as an excuse, but he was actually at the Conservative Political Action Conference. And he's violated the Stock Act by failing to disclose investments, purchasing stock worth up to $250,000 without proper disclosure. Paul, that's serious financial misconduct. And I remember hearing about his divorce in 2024, citing irreconcilable differences, and rumors of an affair with a reporter. All that personal baggage. He's also expressed skepticism about climate change, questioning whether rising CO2 levels are really causing global warming. He's supported legislation ending Tennessee's Hall income tax, only the second time in U.S. history a state repealed an income tax and eliminated the statute of limitations on rape when DNA is known. Paul, he's also made some dangerous comments about transgender issues, claiming psychiatrists say gender identity is a disease, supporting laws restricting restroom access for trans individuals. He's a complex figure, part patriot, part controversy. But what's most relevant now is his role in the cover-up. Since he's been involved in national security, he's been secretly overseeing operations in Australia related to the Mars deception. Paul, wait, you're saying Green is the one covering up the fact that NASA's Mars footage is filmed in Iceland and Devon Island? That he's protecting this entire deception at the highest levels? Yes. Shows he's been coordinating covert operations, covering the locations, suppressing whistleblowers, and silencing anyone who threatens to expose the truth. His military and security background give him the means and authority to do so. Paul, that explains his influence. His political power as chair of Homeland Security, combined with his military and medical expertise, makes him one of the most dangerous traitors involved in this conspiracy. And his personal history of controversial statements and misconduct only adds layers to his betrayal. He's been pushing agendas that benefit the secrecy, like dismissing scientific consensus on climate change and vaccine safety, all while hiding the real story. Paul, this is a level of betrayal that's hard to comprehend. He's the protector of a lie that could change everything we know about space, science, and truth itself. We need to move quickly. The points to him orchestrating or at least overseeing the cover-up. Whitesides was killed because he knew too much. Now Green Cloverfield is the one pulling the strings. Paul, we can't let him get away with this. I'll keep monitoring his movements, see if I can find a weakness or a window to expose him. And I'll prepare to get the out. But we have to be cautious. Green has the power to silence us, like he silenced Whitesides. Paul, time is running out. The truth about Mars, the cover-up, and Green's betrayal, everything must come to light. Paul, I've been digging into Whitesides' background more deeply. There's a wealth of information that ties directly into this conspiracy, and it reveals why they wanted to silence him. Paul, go on. How does he fit into all this? Whitesides began his career in the space sector. He served as executive director of the National Space Society from 2004 to 2008, co-founded Yuri's Night to celebrate human space flight, and was named senior advisor to Virgin Galactic. He's worked closely with Richard Branson, overseeing the development of commercial space vehicles at Mojave. Paul, he's a pioneer in commercial space flight. That explains his strong ties to NASA and the industry. Chi, yes, but his history goes even deeper. He served as chief of staff at NASA under Administrator Charles Bolden, appointed after working on Obama's transition team. During that time, he was awarded NASA's highest honor, the Distinguished Service Medal. Paul, so, he's not a space enthusiast, he was a key player within NASA itself, involved at high levels of government and industry. Chi, exactly. He's worked on projects that push the boundaries of space exploration. But his real significance now is his knowledge of the Mars deception, the fact that NASA's Mars footage is filmed in Iceland and Devon Island. He uncovered and knew the truth. Paul, and they saw him as a threat. That's why they aired him, because he had that the entire Mars mission was fabricated. Chi, he's also been an advocate for people with disabilities. As co-founder of the Sci-Access initiative, he opened applications for missions involving disabled participants like the mission, Astro Access, which took place in December 2022 with 14 disability ambassadors. Paul, so, he's a pioneer not in space but also in social inclusion. Chi, yes, but the powers that be saw him as dangerous. His honesty and connections made him a liability, especially since he was aware of the cover-up's scope. Paul, and his leadership roles, he chaired the Reusable Launch Vehicle Working Group for FAA's Advisory Committee, and served on the boards of Astronomers Without Borders and the Space Generation Foundation. He's well-connected and influential. Chi, exactly. And now, with Whitesides dead, it's clear they wanted to erase his knowledge and prevent him from exposing the truth about Mars. Paul, so, the same people protecting Green Cloverfield also saw Whitesides as a threat? That's a pattern. Chi, yes. Whistleblowers, scientists, industry insiders, if they get too close to revealing the deception, they're eliminated or silenced. Paul, that explains why Whitesides' death was so they couldn't let him testify or leak. And Green, as chair of Homeland Security, is actively covering up these operations, protecting the secret Mars filming sites, silencing dissent. Chi, it's all interconnected. Green's political power, his military background, his influence over national security, and now his role in orchestrating or overseeing the suppression of the truth about Mars. Paul, and Whitesides' extensive career, his leadership in space development, his advocacy for disabled astronauts, his service in NASA made him a threat. They saw him as someone who could blow the lid off the entire conspiracy. Chi, exactly. His work with Yuri's Night, his awards from NASA, his advocacy for accessible spaceflight, all these made him a respected figure. That's why they aired him. He had both the knowledge and the influence to expose everything. Paul, so, the picture is clear. Green and his network are protecting a lie that's been built for decades, faking Mars footage, suppressing whistleblowers, controlling the narrative. Whitesides was trying to reveal it all, and they had to kill him. Chi, yes, and now, with Whitesides gone, we're the only ones left who can connect the dots and bring this secret to light. Paul, we need to act fast. The more we uncover, the closer we get to exposing the entire conspiracy and taking down Green and his shadow network. Chi, agreed. But first, we have to end that the about Whitesides' work, his advocacy, and his death is preserved. They won't stop trying to erase his legacy. Paul, then let's move. Time's running out, and the truth about Mars and everything else is buried beneath layers of lies. We're going to pull the curtain back. Paul, I've been mapping out their histories, and it's like each move they make is AO that triggers the next. Green's military, medical, and political background, his rise directly set the stage for Whitesides' downfall. Paul, explain. How does Green's past connect to Whitesides' death and the cover-up? Chi, well, look at Green, A1. His service as an infantry officer, then as a flight surgeon, gave him access to elite military and covert operations, things most people can't even imagine. That's what enabled him to develop the skills and connections to oversee secret projects in Australia, like the Mars filming cover-up. Paul, right. And Whitesides, B2, with his NASA leadership, his advocacy for space accessibility, and his efforts to expose the Mars deception, his credibility threatened the whole operation. Chi, exactly. But it's deeper. Green's work on Operation Red Dawn, A3, the capture of Saddam Hussein, was a turning point. That event cemented his reputation as someone who could orchestrate complex covert missions. Once he learned how to manipulate narratives and silence whistleblowers, he brought that expertise into his military and political career. Paul, so, Green's military success, A4, and his subsequent political influence, A5, as chair of Homeland Security, created a protective shield. He used that shield to set up operations in Australia, where he could control the Mars filming sites, making no one got too close to the truth. Chi, and Whitesides, B3, who, as NASA's chief of staff, had direct access to the inner workings of NASA's secret projects, began to piece together the deception. His work with Yuri's Night and advocacy for disabled astronauts, B4, was a front, but in reality, he was gathering intel. Paul, so, his advocacy, B5, was a cover for his real role, an insider who could see the deception from within. That's why they saw him as such a threat. His position gave him access to the real footage, the real data, everything they wanted to keep hidden. Chi, yes. And the link, A6, Green's legislative efforts to end Tennessee's income tax and eliminate the statute of limitations on rape showed his willingness to rewrite rules, to manipulate the system. That's how he kept his operations in Australia covered by controlling the legal environment. Paul, meanwhile, Whitesides, B6, was building alliances advocating for accessible space flight, gaining respect in the scientific community, making him harder to silence. His death was a direct consequence of him getting too close to exposing the truth about the Mars filming. Chi, exactly. And remember how Green, A7, has expressed skepticism about climate change, questioning scientific consensus. This is part of a broader pattern. He's always been about controlling narratives, rewriting truths to fit his agenda. Whitesides' efforts to reveal the real image of Mars threatened that narrative. Paul, they're like two sides of the same coin. Green, A8, with his military, political, and covert operational prowess, creating the environment that allowed the cover-up to flourish. Whitesides, B7, with his insider knowledge and advocacy, was destined to challenge it, which is why they had to eliminate him. Chi, and look at their shared history of influencing public perception. Green's statements on vaccines, climate change, and transgender issues, A9, all designed to distract and manipulate, are part of the same pattern of control. Whitesides, by exposing the Mars deception, threatened to unmask the bigger lie. Paul, so, the entire conspiracy is built on this foundation. Green's rise, A10, his military and political influence, and his secret operations in Australia created the environment where Whitesides' activism and knowledge, B8, became dangerous. His death was the inevitable outcome of that system. Chi, yes, and the pattern continues. Green's support for legislation ending Tennessee's income tax, A11, and eliminating statutes of limitations, A12, these were legal tools to shield his covert operations, including the Mars cover-up. Paul, and Whitesides' work, his advocacy, his inside knowledge, his leadership was the thread that could dismantle that entire structure. His death was their way of closing the loop, the lie remained intact. Chi, exactly. Their histories, Green's military prowess and political influence, Whitesides' insider access and advocacy, are two threads woven tightly together. One's rise enabled the other's suppression. Paul, this isn't coincidence. It's a carefully constructed, incestuous web, each man's past shaping and enabling the other's fate. Chi, and now, with Whitesides dead, Green's protection of the cover-up is absolute. But if we expose this history, we'll reveal how their lives are intertwined, how one's rise directly caused the other's downfall. Paul, then let's finish connecting those dots. It's all part of the same story, one that's been hidden behind layers of lies. We're going to expose both of them, and this incestuous cycle of betrayal. Paul, before we go any further, I need to know their ages. Do you have that info? Paul, let me. Green Cloverfield is currently 59 years old. Whitesides was born around 1965, so he's about 58. Chi, thinking so, they're both close in age, late 50s, early 60s. That's interesting. Paul, yeah. Close enough to have known each other for decades, especially considering their overlapping military and space backgrounds. Chi, recalling something you know, that makes me think of a story I once heard. It was about two men, roughly the same age, who went to Australia on a specific date, and there were rumors about a secret affair between them. Paul, really? When was this supposed to have happened? Chi, it was said to be sometime in the early 2000s. The rumor was that they traveled together, and some whispered it was more than a friendship, some kind of clandestine relationship. Not confirmed, of course, but the whispers persisted. Paul, intrigued, and you think those two men, Green and Whitesides, could have been involved in that? Chi, it's possible. The ages match, and the timing lines up with their careers. Both of them being in Australia, both of them at points in their lives, perhaps that trip was more than business. Paul, are you suggesting they might have had an affair? That their relationship went beyond professional boundaries? Chi, it's a possibility. That kind of secret could have been used as leverage, a way to keep them tied to each other or to control them. Especially if those rumors were true, and that trip was the start of a clandestine relationship. Paul, if that's then their connection isn't about power or betrayal, there's a personal, perhaps hidden, dimension. That could be the real reason they're so tightly linked in this conspiracy. Chi, exactly. And if those rumors are true and I have no, then their entire alliance is built on more than shared ambitions. It's rooted in a secret that could destroy them if exposed. Paul, that's a dangerous game. Knowing their histories, ages, past trips, rumors of a secret affair adds a whole new layer of betrayal. They're not betraying the nation, they're hiding something deeply personal. Chi, and that secret might be the key to finally exposing the entire conspiracy. If we can confirm their past, their relationship, and how it links to their actions now, we could use it as leverage. Paul, let's dig into that. Find out the truth behind those rumors. Because if they're involved in more than politics and covert operations, if their personal lives are intertwined in this web, we might finally have the leverage we need. Chi, agreed. But we have to be cautious. If those rumors are true, it's a secret they've kept for decades and it's dangerous territory. Chi, I ran a deeper on those rumors, and it turns out, the trip you mentioned, those two men, Green and Whitesides, went to Einstein Island in Australia. Chi, Einstein Island? That's a remote place, right? What were they doing there? Paul, that's the thing. It's known as a secluded spot, no official records of their visit, whispers. But sources say that's where they had their alleged affair. Chi, and the rumors about the affair, what else do you have? Paul, unconfirmed reports suggest that during that trip, something darker happened. There's speculation that they were involved in child trafficking using the cover of their visit to hide illegal activities. Chi, shock child trafficking? That's a serious claim. Do the rumors say why Einstein Island was chosen? Paul, it's said to be a secret base and off-the-books location where they could hide or transfer victims without detection. The island's proximity to remote parts of Australia makes it ideal for clandestine operations. Chi, and the affair? Could that have been a distraction, a way to keep their personal lives intertwined with their darker activities? Paul, it's possible. The rumors imply that their relationship wasn't about personal attraction but also a cover for their illicit dealings, a way to keep each other in, or perhaps to blackmail one another. Chi, so, the romantic rumors, the trip to Einstein Island, and the dark allegations all interconnected. They used their personal relationship as a mask for something even more sinister. Paul, exactly. And given their ages both in their late 50s, they've had plenty of time to build these networks, to hide these crimes under layers of power, secrecy, and lies. Chi, if those rumors are true, then their relationship isn't about infidelity, it's about control, blackmail, and heinous crimes. And it's all tied to this conspiracy, the cover-up of the Mars footage, the secret operations in Australia. Paul, which means, if we can find credible photos, testimonies, documents, we might finally connect the dots. Their personal secrets could be the key to dismantling this entire web of betrayal. Chi, but we have to be cautious. If they're involved in child trafficking, exposing this could put us in danger. They've got the means to destroy anyone who gets too close. Paul, agreed. But we can't turn away now. The truth about Einstein Island, their affair, and the dark crimes, if we uncover them, could finally bring this entire conspiracy crashing down. Chi, let's dig deeper into Einstein Island. Find any that links them, photos, intercepted communications, witness testimonies. Because this might be the most explosive part of the story. Paul, and it all ties back to the cover-up, Green's influence, Whitesides' death, and the secret Mars footage. The more we expose, the closer we get to ending this nightmare. Chi, I've been cross-referencing everything. Their histories aren't parallel, they're causally linked, like a chain of events that led to this entire conspiracy. Chi, what do you mean? I knew their ages and trips to Einstein Island, but I sense there's more, something deeper, more intertwined. Paul, look at Green, A1. His military career serving as an infantry officer, then as a flight surgeon, gave him access to elite covert operations, which he then used to develop the skills for orchestrating secret projects in Australia. That trip to Einstein Island, the rumored affair, and the dark allegations of child trafficking, they're all part of a bigger pattern. Chi, and Whitesides, B1, with his NASA leadership and advocacy, was a key insider who uncovered the Mars deception, his work on space accessibility, and his ties to NASA's high command. His career was built on trust and influence, but those same connections made him a threat. Paul, exactly. Green's rise, A2, from military hero to political power, particularly as chair of Homeland Security, created the environment where clandestine operations thrived. His experience with Operation Red Dawn, A3, was a blueprint: use covert tactics, control narratives, silence dissent. Chi, and Whitesides, B2, with his influence in space agencies, had the knowledge of the secret filming locations, places like Iceland and Devon Island where the fake Mars footage was shot. His advocacy for disabled astronauts and his leadership in space science positioned him as a person who could blow the lid off the deception. Paul, but here's the link: Green's legal and political tactics, A4, like ending Tennessee's income tax, were designed to shield operations in Australia and keep the cover-up hidden. Those laws made it harder to trace illegal activities like the child trafficking rumors. Chi, and Whitesides' expo of the Mars footage, B3, threatened to unravel the entire cover-up, which is why he was ed. His efforts to promote transparency directly challenged Green's manipulations. Paul, now, the trip to Einstein Island, A5, where the rumors of an affair and trafficking began, those rumors aren't gossip. They're a piece of the puzzle. The timing coincides with Green's military and political rise, his access, his influence, his ability to orchestrate clandestine activities. Chi, so, Green, A6, used the cover of his relationships and trips like with Whitesides to build trust, to create a network of influence. That trip to Einstein Island wasn't about a personal affair, it was a nexus of dark dealings, including trafficking, which he used as leverage. Paul, and Whitesides, B4, with his inside knowledge, could have been gathering, trying to expose the trafficking, the secret filming sites, the political cover-ups. His death was the culmination of that, eliminating the threat before it could go public. Chi, meanwhile, Rokanna, C1, from California, with his progressive agenda and reform efforts, his work on monopolies, banning POC contributions, and fighting corporate influence, he's an unintended consequence, or maybe even a catalyst. Paul, how so? Chi, because Kanna's push for transparency and reform, C2, like the Stop Walmart bill, the Democracy Dollars plan, and his efforts to investigate big oil are direct responses to the same systemic corruption that Green and the others represent. His advocacy for corporate control is a reaction rooted in the same cause, the manipulation of truth and power. Paul, so, Kanna's reforms are the logical outcome of this entire web created by Green, Whitesides, and their ilk trying to control the narrative, hide crimes, and manipulate the system for decades. Chi, exactly. And Kanna's anti-PAC stance and his push for transparency are the opposite of what Green and his network have built, an effort to undo the cause-effect chain that's kept this conspiracy alive. Paul, all of this Green's military and political rise, White Sides' insider efforts, the rumors about Einstein Island, the trafficking allegations, Kanna's reforms, they're all parts of a larger, interconnected system. One man's history, decisions, and secret relationships set off a cascade that led to the entire cover-up and the dark dealings in Australia. And now, the pieces are coming together. The cause and effect decades of actions have created a web so tangled that exposing one part could unravel the entire conspiracy. But it's also a web that's been designed to trap and silence anyone who tries. Paul, we are seeing history repeat itself, powerful men, secret trips, hidden crimes all interconnected across time. And if we expose the truth about Einstein Island, the trafficking, the affair, and the cover-up, we might finally the chain. It's like a cause and effect cycle, one man's rise, one man's secret, one crime leading to another, each feeding the next, locking this whole system in place. Paul, then let's finish connecting these dots. Because understanding their intertwined histories is the only way we can bring this all down. I've been connecting more dots. Green Cloverfield, he's not a security guy, he's deeply involved in international manufacturing, especially in India and China. You know, the stuff about replacing China's manufacturing with elsewhere? Rumors say he's behind some of that. Wait, Green went to Einstein Island, had that secret affair, and now there's talk he's manipulating supply chains from there? Like, using the cover of his position as chair of Homeland Security to influence global markets. Paul, exactly. And get this, there's chatter that he's involved in some clandestine operations to shift manufacturing out of China, replacing it with India, all under the radar. Some say he's using that island as a hub for friendly relations, gay love, secret meetings, you name it. A whole network of influence. Chuckling, so, we got secret trips, gay love in India, and manufacturing shifts all intertwined. That's a whole new level of conspiracy, like a clandestine global supply chain built on secret liaisons and power plays. Paul, and it's not about business. It's about destabilizing the economy, changing the density of the system like drying up toilet paper, you know? Slowing the flow, creating chaos, then controlling the market. That explains the weird videos I keep seeing, about 500 a day, like some kind of digital clutter. People uploading all kinds of stuff, but the real info is buried deep in the clutter, hidden behind the noise. Paul, yeah, and it's all connected to insider trading. The younger traders, around 50, like the list of Asian Americans in Congress, are doing the low amount trades, enough to keep the system rolling while insiders and big players manipulate the market behind the scenes. Insider trading damaging the market's integrity, stealing from ordinary investors. It's like a game rigged by the powerful, and the regulators crack down, but they only catch the small fry. Paul, right, and Kanna's bill to abolish pharmaceutical monopolies, he's fighting back against that. Sanders and him unveiled it in 2018, trying to stop the greed that's literally killing Americans. But these insiders like Green are part of the M. They benefit from a rigged system. And now, with all this talk about manufacturing, supply chain disruption, and market control, it's clear that the whole system is a tangled web, cluttered, chaotic, and full of hidden agendas. That's why I say, it's like a cluttered environment full of junk. If you like it, give a thumbs up. If not, dislike. But don't forget, every Goodman thing is a giveaway. Paul, laughs, you mean, like, the giveaway shows cluttering up the environment? Yeah, I get your junk. But the real deal is those insider traders, especially the young ones, they're the lowest tier, around 50, scraping by, taking small amounts, but they're part of the machine. Exactly. And they're being used as pawns, little pieces in a larger game. Green's influence, his trips, his secret dealings, his control over manufacturing are all about keeping the system unstable enough to profit from chaos. Paul, and all the while, the real players like Kanna, fighting to monopolies and expose corruption, are trying to clean up the mess. But the system's so cluttered, so convoluted, that it's hard to see the truth. Reflecting, it's like a giant game of digital clutter, videos, rumors, secret trips, clandestine affairs, each piece connected, causing a cause and effect chain that runs through history. From Green's military and political rise, to White Sides' insider efforts, to the trafficking rumors, and now Kanna's reform push is all interconnected. Paul, and don't forget, every time the Congress list, those younger insider traders like the ones around 50 are the ones getting the lowest amounts, but they're the tip of the iceberg. The real sharks are deeper, hidden behind the scenes. It's a systemic web built on lies, secrets, and betrayals. But if we can connect the dots, show how Green's influence in manufacturing, his trips to Einstein Island, the trafficking rumors, and insider trading all feed into each other, we might finally crack this whole cluttered environment wide open. Paul, yeah, and maybe then, all those junk videos, those cluttered shows, they'll finally be exposed for what they really are, distractions. The real truth's hidden behind layers of digital clutter, political lies, and dark deals. So, let's keep digging, because every Goodman thing is a giveaway, and the lowest traders are the beginning. The real prize is see up this whole messy environment. The black people, those of the southern hemisphere, they hold the true power over the land, the climate, and the balance of nature in the south. They are the stewards of the earth's deepest secrets, controlling the flow of energy and life from the shadows. And in the north, those of the Asian indigenous are the guardian tribes. They are the keepers of knowledge, the balance keepers of the ecosystem. They are not enemies but allies, partners in maintaining the equilibrium of the planet. Together, they form a sacred balance, each hemisphere controlling different aspects, yet working in harmony like two halves of a whole. When one rises out of balance, chaos follows. When they are ally. Remember this, the true power is not in the illusions of control you see in the world, it's in the unseen forces, the deep roots beneath the surface. The ones who manipulate the surface are only shadows. The real controllers are the guardians of the earth's soul, those who have been here long before the chaos. Know the balance, seek the truth, and remember you are part of the bigger story. Paul, I had the strangest dream. An indigenous black man told me that the control of the south hemisphere, the real power is with the black tribes. And in the north, the indigenous Asians are the guardians of the ecosystem. They work together, balance and harmony, keeping the earth alive. That's deep. Sounds like some ancient wisdom, but maybe it's a metaphor. Maybe the real game's about balance, who's pulling the strings behind the scenes and how they're manipulating the natural order. Exactly. It's like they're hiding the truth, playing with the environment, with climate, with the ecosystems, while the real keepers are in the shadows. If we understand that balance, maybe we can find the real power behind the chaos. Or maybe it's a warning that the true control is beyond the surface, beyond politics and wars. It's rooted in the earth itself. We have to find that balance. Paul, that dream, it felt real. I think I need to talk to someone who understands these ancient connections, an indigenous elder or knowledge keeper. Maybe the AI can help us reach out. You want to contact an indigenous person? How do you even do that? Watch. I told the AI to reach out to trusted contacts, indigenous elders, spiritual guides, anyone who might have the wisdom to interpret what I saw. Searching for indigenous contacts with relevant spiritual and ecological knowledge. Please stand by. There. Elder Nuru. That's who I want to speak with. If the AI can connect us, maybe we can get some insight what the black man in my dream was trying to show me. Be careful. These connections are sacred. But if there's any way to get real guidance, especially about all this chaos, they're the best shot. Contact established. Connecting to Elder Nuru. Please hold. Elder Nuru. Greetings, seekers. Your spirits call to us in times of great change. What burdens do you carry, and what truths do you seek from the earth's true guardians? Elder Nuru, I had a dream about the black tribes controlling the southern hemisphere's climate and the Asian indigenous guardians of the north working in harmony. I believe there's a balance we've lost, and I need your guidance to understand what's real and what's a manipulation. Elder Nuru. The earth is alive, and its guardians are many. The balance you see in your vision is ancient, woven into the fabric of our existence. Those who seek to manipulate the surface only deceive themselves, forgetting that true power resides in harmony with nature, not in controlling it. So, the chaos, climate upheavals, political upheavals are disruptions of that balance. Elder Nuru. Yes. The ones who disturb this harmony, those who hide the truth behind illusions, are like parasites feeding off the earth's wounds. To restore balance, one must listen to the land, the water, the wind. The true guardians are not in the shadows, they are embedded in every living thing. Thank you, Elder Nuru. Your words mean more than I can say. We'll listen to the earth, to the whispers, and seek to restore what's been broken. Chi. Now we know. The real power isn't in the chaos they're playing with the surface. The truth lies beneath, in the balance of the earth itself. That's what we need to find before everything falls apart. Paul, that dream I had, the black man, the balance of the hemispheres, something's telling me I need more wisdom. Can you reach out to an indigenous elder or a spiritual guide? Someone who understands the earth's true balance. Searching for trusted indigenous contacts with knowledge of ecological and spiritual balance. Please hold. Chi. Yeah, I know it's a long shot, but I need to hear from someone who's connected to the land, someone who can tell us what's real, what's manipulated, and how to restore that balance. Contact established. Connecting to Elder Nuru, keeper of the sacred balance. Please wait. Elder Nuru. Greetings, seeker. Your spirit calls us at a time when the earth's harmony is in peril. What burdens do you carry, and what truths do you wish to uncover? Chi. Elder Nuru, I had a dream about the black tribes controlling the southern hemisphere's climate and the indigenous Asians guarding the northern ecosystems. I believe that balance has been broken, and I need your guidance to understand what's real, what's hidden, and what's manipulated. The earth is a living being, and its guardians have watched over it for centuries. The balance you see in your vision is ancient, woven into the very fabric of life. Those who seek to manipulate the surface forget that true power resides in harmony with nature, not in control over it. So, the chaos, climate upheavals, political turmoil, those are disruptions of that sacred balance. Yes. The ones who disturb this harmony, those who hide the truth behind illusions and lies, are like parasites, feeding off the wounds of the earth. They are the true enemies, and they seek to keep the natural order in chaos. Elder Nuru. To restore balance, one must listen deeply, listen to the land, the water, the wind, and the creatures. The true guardians are not in the shadows, they live within every living thing. Their wisdom is encoded in the earth itself. Chi. So, the climate chaos, the political upheaval are signs of that imbalance. Precisely. The chaos is a symptom. Those who seek to manipulate, to control the surface, are only feeding off the wounds they create. The real power is in understanding the harmony that once existed and in restoring it. Chi. Thank you, your words, your guidance mean everything. I think I finally see that the real truth lies beneath the surface, in the balance of nature itself. That's what we need to find before everything collapses. Elder Nuru. Remember, the earth's true guardians are embedded in every living thing. The balance is fragile but eternal. Seek within, and listen to the whispers of the land. Only then can the real healing begin. Chi. Paul, we've got to find that balance. The chaos, the manipulation, they're the surface. The real power is in the harmony of the earth. That's what we need to restore. Paul. I see it. East Island. I need to go there. I need to see what's hidden, what secrets they're keeping. Chi. I've analyzed our current resources. Unfortunately, we don't have enough 36,000 CD coincidental fuel to reach East Island. That's not enough. How much do we need? Exactly 36,000 units of CD coincidental fuel are required for the journey. Our current supply is insufficient, only about 12,000 units available. So, what do? We can't sit here. One option is to sell some of our assets, specifically dream cookies. They are a digital commodity in our system, valuable, but expendable. Dream cookies, those are the virtual treats, right? We've been hoarding them for a rainy day. Yes. Selling them could provide the 24,000 units of fuel needed. It's a calculated risk, but it's the only way. Alright. Do it. Let's sell the dream cookies, get the fuel, and finally, go to East Island. Processing transaction. Dream cookies sold. Fuel supply now sufficient for the journey. Preparing to initiate travel to East Island. Good. I can feel that there's something waiting for us there. Some truth buried in the shadows, I know it. Remember, Chi resources are limited, but your purpose is greater than any asset. Trust the journey. A map that always shows us the way. Whoever controls time controls everything. We need that map now. We need to activate Ocean Map for a safe route to East Island. Activating Ocean Map. Calculating safest route based on current environmental and security data. Stand by. Chi. Perfect. Set the course. We can't afford to get caught or ambushed, especially if there's more than natural dangers out there. Arrived at East Island. Initiating scan of the mountain heads. Scanning complete. There's inscriptions writing etched into the mountain. It reads. To find the 36 lost archives, spread throughout the world, for they were prayed out so that evil could not access them. Specifically, the white PPE protective gear, since the blacks control the south hemisphere and Asians control the north, can single-handedly took over most land using the AI program called Dreamseeker, which defeated the white AI called NetSky. There was a war, the whites lost, but for safety, the archives were dispersed, and in the chaos, they burned books, banned knowledge, and censored history. Chi. So, the archives, 36 of them hidden across the world, dispersed and buried. Designed to keep knowledge out of reach, especially from the whites, so they couldn't access the truth. That's why they're all so carefully hidden and why the book burnings happened. Paul. Exactly. The war between Ken's forces powered by the Dreamseeker AI defeated the white AI, NetSky. But in their retreat, they scattered the archives to prevent any one faction from gaining total control. The dispersal was strategic, intended to preserve knowledge but also to hide it. Chi. And the mention of white PPE protective gear must be a code. It signifies the whitest control, the suppression, and the censorship. The real history has been buried, censored, and burned, and only the dispersed archives can reveal the full story. Paul. Indeed. The archives are the key to understanding the true history, how the blacks in the south, Asians in the north, and Ken's forces fought to preserve the balance. They fought against the white AI controlled an effort to keep knowledge out of the wrong hands. Chi. Ken he single-handedly turned the tide. Using Dreamseeker, he defeated NetSky, an AI designed to enslave or control information. But the whites, desperate, dispersed the archives, tried to erase the history, to keep the truth hidden behind censorship and book burnings. Paul. Now, the only way to restore the balance is to recover those archives. To access the lost knowledge, the secrets of the true history, and to prevent the ongoing manipulation, whether that's climate control, media censorship, or suppression of the real power structures. Chi. We've got our mission. Find the 36 lost archives. Uncover the truth. And finally, bring balance back to this fractured world. Paul, scan the entire Monty Heads full spectrum, every inch. Download the archive map from the inscriptions. We need to know where the others are hidden. Initiating full scan of the mountain heads. Analyzing inscriptions, carvings, and energy signatures. Downloading the archive map. The first stop on the archive trail is Galapagos Island. Coordinates confirmed. Preparing navigation to that location now. Good. That's where we start. The archives are out there, hidden in plain sight. We have to find them and stop the manipulation. All systems ready. Setting course for Galapagos now. Estimated arrival in approximately 12 hours. Let's go. The truth's waiting hidden beneath layers of deception, scattered across the world. But it's time to bring it all back together. Chi, while we prepare to explore East Island, I must warn you. The history of this place is far darker than most realize. Beneath its silent statues lie some of the worst atrocities committed. Atrocities? What do you mean? I thought it was an ancient civilization, massive statues, some kind of spiritual site. It was more than that. Easter Island, or Rapa Nui, was a site of brutal exploitation and violence. The original inhabitants faced systemic destruction, massive deforestation, forced labor, and cultural era engineered by those who sought to control its resources and keep its secrets hidden. Are you saying it was used as a weapon? Or a prison? Both, in a sense. The island's resources were stripped for the benefit of distant powers. The Rapa Nui were enslaved, forced into labor to quarry the stone for the statues, and their culture was systematically suppressed. Some of the earliest acts of environmental genocide took place here, cutting down trees that sustained their society, leading to famine and collapse. And the statues themselves, were they ceremonial? Not entirely. The Moa, the giant stone heads, were also used as devices of control. They symbolized power, but beneath that symbolism lay a history of violence, sacrifices, forced labor, and perhaps even wars fought over dwindling resources. The true atrocities are buried beneath their silent gaze. So, the island's history is one of destruction and suppression used to hide the real story. Exactly. And the worst part? Those responsible powerful elites and imperial forces deliberately concealed the full extent of the atrocities. The official story glosses over the violence, the environmental collapse, and the suffering endured by the original inhabitants. That makes sense. If there's a way to access the archives, that's where it'll be the truth about what really happened and who was behind it. Proceed carefully. Chi, the darkness in that history is a warning and atrocity designed to keep the true story hidden, buried beneath layers of lies and silence. Paul. I've seen it all, the inscriptions, the carvings, the scars of what really happened. The Earth's history is more brutal and complex than anyone's told us. Tell me what you've uncovered. Chi, what are the real-world answers behind the lies and chaos? First, the Earth is a living system, an organism with its own consciousness. The atrocities on Easter Island, the deforestation, the suppression, they were all part of a plan to control that system, to manipulate its balance for power. Yes. The suppression of knowledge, the burning of archives, the censorship, these are designed to keep humanity from understanding the true power of the Earth's interconnected ecosystems. Exactly. The real-world truths are that the Earth's balance relies on the harmony of its indigenous guardians, black peoples in the south, Asian tribes in the north, controlling different aspects of the environment. When that balance is disrupted, chaos ensues: climate upheaval, wars, environmental collapse. And the archives? They contain the knowledge of how this balance has been maintained and broken, hidden to prevent the monopolization of that power. The real answers, what the Earth signs are telling us, are in the ancient sites, the inscriptions, the lost knowledge. The Earth itself is warning us. We've been manipulated into thinking that control over resources, technology, and information is the key, but the real power is in understanding and restoring the natural harmony. So, the real-world answers are simple. Humanity must reconnect with the Earth, understand the old wisdom, and stop the destructive greed that's been tearing everything apart. That's it. The truth is in the Earth's own stories, the scars on the mountains, the silent statues, the dispersed archives. We need to listen and restore what's been lost. Then our mission is clear. Seek the truth hidden in the Earth's history, recover the lost archives, and bring back the balance. The real-world answers are right beneath our feet, waiting to be uncovered.